ladies and gentlemen, friends and suspects. Hello, my name's Ian, and this is my beautiful wife, Julia.
Hello.
We will be your hosts for the episode. Here at the Game Table Podcast, we look at various board, card, and other tabletop games. We give an overview, provide a little insight on how to play, and share some of our thoughts, all in an attempt to give an idea of how well it'll fit for you and your table. Today, we are at the featured table looking at the game Awkward Guests, the Walton Case. Designed by Ron Gonzalo Garcia, art by Samuel Gonzola Garcia, and Lauren Medina Solera. I'm sorry for anything that I mispronounce. I truly apologize. And it's published by Megacorpin Games.
Awkward Guests is a 1 to 8 player murder mystery game. Mr. Walton was murdered in his study while hosting a large party one evening. Players must figure out which guest is responsible. Players use deduction, clever thinking, and information sharing to find 4 things: who did it, their motive, what weapon they used, and if they had an accomplice or not. Solve the mystery and you win. Let's review Awkward Guests.
All right. Well, welcome to today's episode, Julia.
Thank you. Welcome to you as well.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right. Normally, we start the episode off with a question, and you said you had one. So
I do.
What is our question?
So my question is, if you were throwing a dinner party, what 3 people would you invite, living or dead, celebrity or not? And also, who do you think would be most likely to murder you? That's more of a afterthought question.
Of the people that I invite?
Yeah. Mostly just who would you invite? But then I guess,
Okay.
like, if someone were to murder you, would you invite a murderous person to your home?
I don't know. Goodness gracious. 3 people.
Yeah, I'm limiting it to 3. This has 6.
Well, yeah, if you count the twins.
There are 6 to 7 guests.
Yeah. Let's do, I would like to invite... We're going to do celebrities.
Okay.
It'd be...
That's always more interesting.
Ronald Reagan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, he's not... I mean, he is a celebrity. He's a president. But
Yes.
we would do Billy Graham.
Oh, my God.
And then Tom Hanks.
Wow. I feel like that's such a try-hard
And
list.
definitely the person that would be likely to kill somebody is Tom Hanks, even though he has no shot at killing anybody.
I would not have said that.
I mean, none of them would kill anybody. But out of those 3...
I feel like Ronald Reagan might kill someone if he had to. No, I feel like for the sake of the country, he would pull out a firearm.
Yeah, he could.
If he perceived you as a threat to the nation, I think he would pull the trigger.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my invitees are not the murdered like type.
Yeah. Okay, so mine would be, of course, Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick all living celebrities. I'm gonna just pick a niche, and I'm gonna say, if this were like my dream, like, girl group, like dream visionary brainstorming night, like we're making vision boards together, we're doing some little like mocktails, I'd say Taylor Swift, Joanna Gaines, and Jessica G, who I have met her before.
I don't even know if I knew who that is.
That's from the Bucket List Feeling. We went to her book signing.
Yeah.
I would invite her. I feel like all of those women would help me get my life together and create a vision board for who I want to be in the future. So that would be my dream. Anyway, I don't think any of them would kill me. So that's good. We have more wisdom than Mr. Walton.
Yeah. So in this game, Mr. Walton has a beautiful, majestic mansion that he seems to be rich, I guess, and invites 7 lovely guests over to his home. And he gets murdered in his study.
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah. And so it is one of the guests. The police show up and they lock the door. So all the guests none of them leave. They're all here and they're being interrogated and questioned to figure out who killed Mr. Walton. And if you've played anything like the game of Clue,
it's very similar in concept to Clue.
Yeah.
The mechanics and specifics are somewhat different. Like, for instance, in this iteration of a murder mystery, we already know the room, which was where the crime was committed, where that's different from something like Clue.
Yeah.
But we are still looking for the murderer. And this, I think, is plussed up in a lot of ways, but specifically in the way of you have to figure out why they did it. You can't just know who did it. You have to know why they did it.
Exactly.
And if they acted alone or with an accomplice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the basic theme. I'm going to do a little brief rules overview. So let's go ahead and get into that here. Well, Awkward Guess, again, is a 1 to 8 player game. You're trying to solve who did it and who the murderer is in this mystery. You'll use deduction skills and clever card play and clever card hiding to get knowledge, gain knowledge, and also share knowledge with other players.
Strategic information sharing.
Yes, that's right. What you'll do, as any other card game, you'll have to create this deck of cards that will be the murder deck. And so there are thousands to a million different combinations and cases that you can play. You'll pull out each individual card that the instructions tells you to pull. You'll create this deck, and there you go. Each player will be given 6 cards, and then you will move on to the beginning of the game. These cards are everything. Like in the game of Clue, if you've ever played, it has knowledge and information on there. Now, this is a little bit more ramped up than a game of Clue, so I'll go into a couple more details there. But the main thing that these cards are going to give information to is about a person, one of the suspects. It will be about a room or, something that's in the room or people that may have gone in and out of the room, or it'll give information about a weapon that was used for the murder. Again, the goal of the game is to figure out who the murderer was, their motive, and then the weapon, and then you will figure out if they had an accomplice or not in some of the harder scenarios. On your turn, you will get to ask a question on a couple different areas. You can either ask about one of the individual suspects. Again, there's 7. Technically, there's 6 suspects, but
there's 6 choices.
Yeah, but
one of the choices includes 2 suspicious sisters.
Yes, so the Berwick sisters are 2, but they count as 1. So you'll move on. You'll pick one of these, or you'll pick a location. There's a whole house that you have. You have the blueprints of the map, and you get to pick between one of these 2. Once you do that, the other players will look at their cards, and on these cards, they have a couple different things on them. One, they have a value of information ranging from 1 to 3. They also have references relating to what that card is giving information to. So that information can be given either to a player or a person, a suspect, or an individual, or or a crime scene, or a weapon, or something like that. But that reference will be on there. And so basically, when you ask about, let's say, the trophy room and the Berwick sisters, everybody in there will look at their hand. They'll look for cards that reference those things you're asking for. Everybody will place those cards face down, and then they'll put a little token on there to initiate how much information that is worth. So if they have a bunch of 1s of information, they'll put those down, and let's say they had 2 1s, they'll put a 2 on top, just to show that that's worth 2 value of information. Again, the cards range from 1 to 3, and the really, really detailed, usually relating to weapons and stuff, are 3 information, because they give you as a player a bunch of information to write down or eliminate from the possible options. Once everybody at the table has had the option to place cards down, then you, as on your turn as the player, you will trade with them. You don't have to trade exactly, even if I asked about the trophy room and maybe the garage, I don't have to give that back to them. That's what I'm asking for. What I have to give them is at least equal to or more value than what they are giving me. So if I have, if they have 3 value worth of cards coming to me and I only have 4, if I have 2 2s, then that's what I'm gonna have to give them. Or I could just say no. You don't have to make a trade of information, but you can. Once you make a trades with everybody at the table, if possible, then you can look at all the cards that you gathered, but then you will confirm all the trades you make first. Then you get all your cards. Then you write down all the information on your fancy, handy-dandy blueprints that have all this information on there. Their motives, the blueprints of the room, the individual weapons that were used, and you'll be crossing and dotting and writing around, scribbling arrows all over this board, and it's paper, so you'll throw it away after. But
just picture the guy with the whiteboard and the red string. That's going to be you.
That's literally it.
But with your own piece of paper.
Exactly. So then you'll pass on to the next round. Everybody will go the next turn. So everybody will go that's playing in the game. Once everybody in a round has gone, then you'll reset. Everybody discards down to 3 cards, and then you'll draw more from the deck. So new information is kind of being spread at each and every turn, every round. So more and more information. If you run out of the deck, you'll shuffle it and go over again. That usually happens about once a game. And then basically once you feel like you can guess at the end of a round, everybody will flip these little tokens over and initiate, hey, I'm going to try and guess or I'm not. Once you do guess, there are 2 ways. You can either play off the app or play on the in the actual rule book. If you play in the rule book, then you're eliminated if you don't guess correctly. But if you play in the app, you hit your little, okay, I know who did it. I know who it was, why they did it, and what they used, and if they had accomplice. And if you're right, then you win. You got the mystery, and you are the great detective. If you're wrong, then you'll have to wait 1 round before you can guess again if you're using the app. After that, that's it. You keep playing until somebody figures it out. You keep sharing information, and boom, boom, boom. That's it. I grew up on the game of Clue.
Yes, as did I.
We were Clue players.
Clue players. We had to have rules because I would play with my friends, and we would be so eager to win because we were so competitive that we had to have rules about how soon you could guess the killer, because we would just race, to the little pool in the middle where the envelope was.
Yeah.
And just guess randomly and hope that we got it with zero evidence or anything like that, because we were so competitive and wanted to win so bad. And you can't do that with this game. There is no just guessing wildly. You really have to know what you're talking about.
I guess you could, but it's just,
it would be pretty pointless.
It doesn't give you any information. So let me clarify. So when they made this game, they designed an app to go with it. You can play out of the rule book. There's a set of cases, and then there's a solution on the back. If you play without the app, then basically when you guess and you're wrong, you have seen the solution, and so therefore you are eliminated from play. So there's not much you can do about that. That's why the app is so good in a game like this. Deduction games, I think, do really well with an app, because then it doesn't eliminate you when you try and guess. The app is, I think, essential. It's free. It's a quality app for what it does. It just has cases, and you can save your last case, and it's super easy. So highly recommend that. So like you were saying, though, I guess all the different information about each individual person, so that you're trying to solve their motive. And on these cards, it'll say, Greg Gaffney is another suspect. Basically, you'll see a card that says Greg Gaffney's stolen recipe, which I guess he has a stolen recipe as a possible motive. It would say it's not a motive, or there's evidence that shows that it is a motive. And so you're piecing together all these different things. There's never one thing that especially with the people, you have to piece together 4 cards to figure it out that, oh, this might be a person of interest.
And there are red herrings of this person has a portion of a motive, but they actually have nothing to do with it, but you still want to keep tabs on them.
Right.
And it can be confusing.
Yeah. And then one of my favorite things about this that is a little bit different than a game of Clue or something like that is you have to trace a way for the murderer to go, either from a starting room, which there's 4 starting rooms, that they have to get from there to the study and pick up a weapon that they're going to use on the way. And so they can't use a weapon that they can't get to. And so you'll see cards either from the police or staff that were working that will say, nobody passed through the bedroom, or nobody passed through this room. And so then you can write that down and use that as information. And anyway, the deduction in this is just at an all-time high of really piecing together all the different parts of information. So with that, what do you find the most fun in this game, even compared to Clue, but just as a general game, what do you enjoy about this? What's one of your favorite aspects of each of the different things inside of it?
I just think it is fun to narrow down your search, and I love narrowing in on all right, I know what the weapon is, but maybe I don't know who it is yet, or I know who it is, but I don't know what their motive is, but I know what they used, or like you were saying, trying to figure out the path that they took from one room to the other, because you have to be able to show that they took a certain path or a certain route to the crime scene and that they had an opportunity to pick up the wrench or the frying pan or whatever it was. So like it's really interesting to watch all of those pieces come together, and it really does force you to slow down a little bit because like I said, I'm kind of the person who wants to jump to conclusions and try to get it solved as soon as possible. And I definitely still feel that way with this game, but it kind of forces you to put some meat behind the theory that you're trying to put forward.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to show why you think a certain person did it. And I just find it really fun and interesting because it definitely takes that murder mystery idea that we're all familiar with and just expounds on it.
Yeah, I think overall, like it just takes it to a whole new height. It's the classic whodunit, but you have to figure it out. And with kind of limited information in a way, like you're only given the cards that you have and you have to try and ask the right question. Like, so on your turn, you pick what information are you really looking for? Like, what do I already know about this weapon and this weapon, so I'm not going to ask about, so each of the weapons is allocated to a room. And so the murderer has to go through that room to pick up that weapon to kill the Mr. Walton. If you can say nobody went into this room, then those weapons can't be used. And so that's the fun thing is there's multiple ways to get to the information, but like if I already know about it, then I'm not going to ask about that room. So you have to be really intentional about what you're asking and about who, because, I've already had this information. I don't want to ask and get the same thing. And the one thing is that cards are being handed around that you pass to somebody else, and they oftentimes come right back into your hand.
I think that can be one of the just like accidental annoying things about the game, but it also, I think for people who've played it multiple times, like can be one of the more strategic, like clever things you can do in the game is like...
And mean.
is like giving people back cards that they gave to you. Like if you can keep track of who's giving you what cards. And then when they ask for certain things, you can offer them information, but it's the same information that they already had. And so you can kind of thwart them in their search for clues. And it can happen unintentionally or intentionally.
It does happen on accident as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But like I said, if you're keeping track, it's easy to let it become intentional because you can also kind of tell it when you're getting close or when you think you're getting close to an answer. Mm-hmm. You can also tell then when other people are getting close based off of the information that they ask for.
Right.
And so then you can kind of suss out like, do I want to help this person or do I want to keep this card that helped me figure out who it was? Like, do I want to keep this card to myself or do I want to in good faith trade it hoping that they'll give me something equally as valuable?
Yeah, you have to be it's very strategic plays because early in the game I think everybody's like just willy-nilly just throwing cards around.
Right, because nobody knows anything.
Yeah, everybody's just sharing. As the game gets close to the end though, you can really start to tell like who's getting close to knowing everything. And so then everybody's like a little bit more cautious on handing out cards. I know I am. You're just trying to like, okay, I really hope this isn't the card they needed. Like I need what they're giving me. I know I do, but I also don't, I hope this isn't going to win them the game. So there's some nice timing in the cards and the playing and trading. And I think it's such a delicate design because that, they're pulling it a lot from a game as original as Clue, but they're using same concepts here. Like, it's definitely same concepts, but they're just taking it to a whole new height. So that detail of the card trading and all the different scenarios. I mean, there's like 300 cards or so. There's like 260 cards, I think. You just have so many options. Like you can't ever memorize what the number cards are. It does have the numbers on like the back of the card, but like I'm like one of the few people that know that. I guess if you're playing for the first time, you don't like, oh, what do those numbers mean? Like you could start to do that, but this game's just, there's so many cards being thrown around. I'm not ever looking at the back of the card. I'm always looking at the front of the card. And
Did you explain like the system of how the case is selected and how the cards are selected?
They call it, this game company, Megacorpin. And so that's a good point. So let's go ahead and talk about them for just a second, just because I think it's cool. So they don't have a bunch of games. And really one of their like major games, they have a Monstrog, which was another game they did. But the main game that they do, they've been making this game for a while. Awkward Guess was mostly, so it came out in 2016, but it was only in like Spain. And so it was not an American. It wasn't ever printed in English for a long time. I think it was even out before that, but I don't know for sure. But basically, you could buy it in Spain or Europe and get the Spanish version. And so that's where this game company is from. And so they eventually they printed it and in English, and they did a Kickstarter, and that's how I got my copy. But now they also sell English copies, so you can buy it wherever you buy games. Just look it up. But they also made another game called Scandal O, which is another deduction style game. It uses this game system that they're talking about, which they kind of coined, but basically it's just they basically make up some scenarios, and then you pull the specific cards for that scenario. So nothing too crazy. What you do is you pull the different numbers out of the scenario, and if you use the app or the rule book, it tells you which numbered cards. So you pull all those cards, and then there's your deck. And then you play with that deck for the game, and then you put the cards back, and then you could do another game. And so you have unlimited combos, especially with the app. I think there's like 25 different ones inside the rule book, and then a million more because of the cards. There's easy, beginner, all the way up to extreme or unsolvable, which I kind of want to try.
Yeah, we should try that.
As just curiosity.
Yeah, that should be our next date night, is try to do the unsolvable one.
And so anyway, that's that game company. This is really like their main design. They also came out with an Awkward Guess 2, the Berwick Sisters, which is technically a 2-player version of this game. We have not played that yet. We may be reviewing it in the future because it is a 2-player game, and we'll look at doing that. We just haven't played it enough to have a full opinion about it just yet. But I do think, as far as, I'll mention this now because it is something that really makes this game shine, is that it is a little bit better at higher player counts. I think it's better at like 4 or 5, but it does go up to 8. I've never played with 8. I have played with 5 or 6, I think was the most. And it was good. I really liked it. I would try it at 8, but I don't know if I'm like going to love it at 8. You can play it at 1 player as a solo variant, and then 2-player is how we've played a lot of it because we didn't have the 2-player version for a long time.
It definitely can still work with 2
it does.
players.
It's a little bit weird on some of the information that you share.
Yeah, you have less options for the whole like information sharing, swapping thing because there's less people to share information with.
You just share with the other person.
Yeah, there's no real choice going on there, but it's still fun.
Yeah. So as far as other like things I like, we'll talk about the artwork here because I think it is very dull. Color-wise.
I feel like color-wise.
Color scheme is dull.
Very visually interesting and not dull as in boring, but everything is in kind of a sepia-toned brown.
Yeah, there's no color. There is no actual color.
There's no variety in color. I think it's meant to look like a manila like file folder, like for the confidential like file folder.
Yeah.
But everything is kind of just brown.
Yeah, and I think it's good. Like, so when they first said they were going to do it like that, I was like, I don't know if I like it. But, when you play it, it's like there's still beautiful art on the cards and everything.
The art itself is done beautifully.
On the cards, you have like the actual characters and, different staff members and police and then the artwork. And then what I really love is on every card, it tells you basically how to check it off on your board. And so when you get a piece of information, like let's say, let me find a good. So like this one, yeah. So like this one says, this one's the blunderbuss was not a murder weapon. So but it says a cross on it, like telling you to cross it out. And this one is, Mortimer Mallow, who is another suspect, basically claims that Angelica Alvison, who is another suspect, has been involved in the murder, or might have been involved. And then it tells you to check off on Angelica's player sheet that, it has a little check mark and tells you exactly where to mark. And so this happens in a lot of areas. This one says that Mortimer claims that he was in one of the rooms and tells you which room. And then it tells you just, write an M on there for that. It gives you a general understanding of like what to write. And so I think that is a an absolutely amazing way. And then, this is a really good one. So it's like the service staff reports that none of the guests entered between these two rooms. And so it has a little cross, check across between those two rooms. It tells you exactly where to cross out. And so I think that's really, really helpful, especially for a new player, but also like when you're really trying to like, okay, how do I keep my player sheet cleaner? Because it can get kind of messy.
How do I keep track of everything?
Yeah, how do I keep track of everything? It's telling you like, hey, this is a good way to do it. And like stuff like that, like, yes, the art color scheme is pretty dull. It's brown and black and white, but
I think it's consistent.
No,
I think that
is.
it's like, it's thematic. It is what it is. And I've never had a problem with it. I've never been like, oh, I wish this were more colorful. Like, I see what you're saying and I am like agreeing with it, but I also have never noticed it before. I feel like the artwork is really thematic. I would have never like noticed. I mean, obviously I notice what the color scheme is, but until you said like, I find it kind of dull, I personally would have never thought that, because to me, I just see consistency and a theme that they just went with, and they were like, it is what it is. This is what Awkward Guess is going to look like. And I don't mind it. Like, I think that it's fun and fine, and I don't really need it to be more colorful. I think it's consistent and on theme.
Yeah, I mean it's not blowing my mind when it comes to art. It's just a usable art. And functional. It's functional in its own way because it's really the cards that are giving the most information. You don't want to, distract from really the main thing, which is I'm going to look at these cards for information and then move on. And so I think overall, I'm not trying to knock it. I'm just making it aware that it's not the most colorful, but I think it is completely functional in its own way and doesn't hinder anything. Like I don't even know if I wish there's more art. I'm just stating it as a fact.
I like it. I like the art, and I feel like it's a distinct style. Like you can look at the illustrations and be like, oh yeah, this is Awkward Guess. So like
exactly,
it's distinct and yeah. I mean, I'm not playing as many games as you are, so I don't know the difference between art styles, but I like the art style.
Yeah, and I think it's really, again, it's usable. It's really good. So as far as the score sheets or the things that you're writing down, I think they're great as well. Like it has everything very organized. I know what I'm looking for. And then the player shields. Do you have an opinion on the player shields?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, hold on.
What are the player shields?
The thing you put around.
Oh, I love the player shields. I think they're kind of cumbersome in a way, but I don't know if there's any way to avoid that.
Not really.
And it has a little like cheat sheet to help you remember the rules and like what's going on. And I have referred to that a lot. We don't always use them sometimes, like just because like they are a little bit cumbersome and they don't always stand up on their own super well, which I think...
As long as you wrap it around like the actual thing, it works. It does stands up fine. But if you're playing on a small table, you're going to kind of run out. But I mean, I think I like to use... I'm using them 99% of the time, unless I just can't physically. Because it takes up just the same amount of space as the score sheet, because it literally just wraps right around it. So it's just height. Yeah, but like you said, there's like cheat sheets on each side, and it tells you a little bit of like how information is used. There is some like technical things is written on these a lot. Like you can look at this and kind of help yourself. Technically, also, this is dry erase if you want to use this instead.
Oh.
I don't know if I like that though, because like you'd have to put it down to write on it. It stands up on the table, so you're like writing vertically instead of like flat on the table. And so for me, that's a little bit hard to do. But it is there, and this was, I don't know.
If for some reason you lost your little pad here, because they have just like a notebook pad of these, what are these called? The character sheets or the mystery sheets? Suspect sheets.
Yeah.
They have like a little pad. It's just like what you, I hate that we keep comparing it to Clue, but I mean, that's the closest it's just like what you have in Clue, but larger, like a whole piece of paper with all the information on it, but it comes in a pad that you just rip off every time you want to play a game.
And I will say, I don't even know. I guess a good question is, I don't know, like I technically have the Kickstarter from a while ago. I don't know if you were to buy it, I don't know if it comes with those score sheet or the protectors. What am I trying to say?
When you asked me about it, you had a name for it, and I don't remember what it was.
The screens, the player screen. Like, I don't know. I think it does, but now I'm starting to question.
Maybe it was like a Kickstarter bonus or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it does come with that, so I apologize. I guess overall, like, this game is so unique. Like, is there anything that it's like not doing good? Like, I hate ranking, like, talking bad about a game like this because it's like very, very, very specific. It is deduction. And is there anything you like don't like though? Like, I'm trying to think of something.
I feel like the things I don't like are things that are like more like user error. Like, I don't like it when I get confused and lose.
That's not the game's fault.
I don't like it when we play and there's an accomplice. I feel like it's so hard to determine if there's an accomplice or not.
Yeah.
And I've gotten it right before, but gotten it wrong about the accomplice. And I dislike that.
I feel like what ends up happening is everybody convinces themselves there is an accomplice, but there's not.
There's never an accomplice. Yeah. But I feel like those are both just personal preferences, and I like the idea of an accomplice. I like that they have that feature.
New. Yeah, that's totally different than anything like other deduction games like that.
Yeah, but I just find it confusing because I don't quite know how to figure out if there is one or not.
No, it is, and so that's on like the medium to like expert games. So if you play
you
beginner,
can choose to
easy,
not have that.
Like beginner easy levels. If you go up to like medium, there's like a slight chance. If you play hard and on, there's probably an accomplice. And the accomplice, like you're saying, it's like basically they like say they were conspiring against, and you have to get all this information, and then you have to catch them in a lie.
Yeah, but there won't be as much information as if they actually did it.
Yeah.
It's I just feel like more complicated.
Yeah, and
I'm just not smart enough to do it.
The accomplice doesn't lie that he was in a room because he actually was, but then he'll lie about the murderer.
Right.
And so you have to catch them lying about the murderer, and you're like, okay, but that's one way to really push players to like not just jump the gun and go guess, because they're like, I have to figure out how it's going to work. Who was the accomplice? Was there one? And it's not about just figuring out if there was an accomplice. You have to figure out their motive as well.
You have to figure out the accomplice's motive?
Yes, you have to know their motive. And so that's the other thing. And I guess I didn't explain that earlier because we're now just talking about it, but you have to figure out if there's the thing it'll ask you if you're playing really at all is in the app or on paper, but who was, why they did it, and what they used. And then it'll say, do they have an accomplice? You will answer, no, they didn't have an accomplice. Okay, then you move on. But if it's yes, then you have to say, okay, who was it and why were they an accomplice? And so it's not just figuring out, okay, I have to catch them in a lie. Well, now I have to figure out why they were in on this scheme. So it does become more challenging, and it is. It's hard to figure out exactly why and who the accomplice is, because it's more specific information. It's not as like, okay, this person went, and normally you can figure out, okay, well, this person definitely didn't cross here, so they can't be it. They can't get there. Well, you don't know about it. The accomplice just stayed in a room and just helped the murderer.
The accomplice doesn't do anything.
So it's not like you can track them. You just have to literally figure out.
There's no smoking gun.
No. So yeah, that's definitely. I think the accomplice can be annoying for some people. I like it because I like deduction like this. So I guess that's the downside. If you don't like deduction, then you should not be playing this game. Like, it's not.
What are you doing?
Yeah, you
should
go
play something else.
You should just go play something else, because this is just a whole other level. It's just a total different type of game. Like, it's not. Its design and everything is all about deduction. So if you like murder mystery and if
you loved Clue as a child and want something more advanced, this is the perfect game for you.
It's absolutely amazing in that regard. So.
Is the Berwick Sisters expansion, is it the exact same just for 2-player, or is it a different premise?
So no, the Berwick Sister, it's a whole other standalone game, and it's just 2-player, and you basically create a case for the other player. So each player makes a case. So I'll write out a mystery for you to solve, like who did it, why, and what they used. And then you do that for me. And so now we have to solve it. It's like the old Guess Who game, kind of. But then you basically roll dice, and whatever you roll is the type of information you might get. And so that player shares information with you, and so you're just piecing. It's a faster version for sure. Okay. It doesn't require as much setup because the card play in this, it is like a 15-minute version.
Interesting.
So yeah, we'll take a look at that in a future episode because I think it's really good. And I think it's a nice change of pace for this. And then you're like, oh, I really like deduction, but I just don't really want to figure out a mystery like that, like a murder mystery. Well, you could look at their other game called Scandalo, and that is about solving basically like a cover-up, a newspaper that's covering up a story or covering up basically sweeping some story under the rug.
Oh, did we play this?
Yeah.
I remember that.
And it's like the same system though. Like you're sharing the cards, but the way it's not a murder. You're trying to solve, like you're trying to piece together different people's stories, their news stories, and what they wrote about and who it was, and you're trying to find out that one really is the whole like middle map does look like that guy with the pin boards and the strings. Like it literally has that because when you're like piecing together people that are connected, it's got like the strings, and so unlike this is like the old, like it's just a map of the house and you're trying to just trace it, where that one has like different areas and who's connected in different ways. So if you like deduction and you don't want a murder mystery, that's another option from them as well. And so that one you can purchase. So with player count though, like I mentioned it, I think this game's at like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
You like that number as well?
Yeah. I think it's definitely more fun. I like that it's playable at 2 players because obviously there's only 2 of us, so we can play this for like a date night or something.
Yeah, and solo as well.
And I enjoy it. But it is definitely a mid-sized group because it's not one of those like big, large group party games, but it's fun when it's like when you're with your family. Like we've brought this on family vacations before and played it with my parents or my siblings. Yeah. And it's like fun for when you want something a little bit longer, but nothing super heavy or super intense. And you want it to feel like a little more involved, like a little bit more of an intense game night, but not like overwhelm the people who maybe don't play games as often.
Right.
So I think it's a really good mid-level game. Probably not for you guys. For me, it feels mid-level. For me, it feels like a middle point between like Apples to Apples and like Root or something like super intense.
It's its own game. It is not overly complicated in game mechanics. It is, I pick some information I want and people either share it or not, and then I write it down.
Right.
That's it. But it
is like longer than like a 15-minute like quick party game.
No, I think with 5 to 6 players, you're looking at about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how fast like you pick it up. If it's like 3 to 4 players, you get done in like an hour and a half. So
yeah, and there's just more fun options then for information swapping and for different theories to emerge. And it's not, it's just a little bit more intriguing when you have more people playing. So I think it's really good for a 5 to 6 player group.
Yeah, and it might be, around 20 to 30 minutes. Like I'd say 15 to 20 minutes per player if you know what you're doing. So for every more player you add. So anyway, I think those are all, I think we've shared a lot. I would like say, oh, what is this? What draws me into this game, or what's my favorite mechanic? I'm like, it's just not it. I feel like I have explained everything that this game does, which is a murder mystery. It's like Clue, and you write down your deduction skills and use your deduction skills and maybe potentially hide some information from the players. I feel like that's it. And it's just so good. Like
it is pretty straightforward.
It's straightforward, and it's not lacking a lot. It knows what it wants to be. Like I think it's overall a very, very solid design. And I think we've talked about most of the key features. So is there anything else that you want to add to how it plays or anything like that? And
no.
Okay. Sounds great.
This is one of my favorite games, so I'm a fan.
All right, so let's get into grading and final thoughts here. So we scale on a scale from 0 to 10. I keep saying 0 to 10. I mean, technically it's 1 to 10, but I mean, you could give it a 0 if you really truly just felt like it was non-playable. But anyway, what would you rate this on your scale of how you feel about the game and what you love and hate it and all that.
For my personal enjoyment, I would give this an 8.5. This is one of my favorite games. I really enjoy it, and I would play this all the time. I don't think, I mean, it's true of any game, but I don't think it's everyone's cup of tea. Like, I think some people would probably need something more complicated or something more in depth, more intricately designed. But I think that it's fun. It does what it needs to do. It's different every time. And I find that really fun. So for me, it's a high ranker in my personal book.
No, I think I would also give this about an 8. I will never say no to it. I think it's really fun. It's not something I'm always in the mood for, but it is my favorite deduction style game. Like, I just think it's great. There's not another deduction style game that I love more. And out of overall games, like, I think it's really, really good. And yeah, I'm just really, really happy with how it came out. I think it does everything that I want it to be, which is we solve a murder mystery, and it does it pretty quick.
Is what
like,
it is.
I know it could take up to an hour and a half or 2 hours if you're like kind of new and you have a whole group. Like, but time flies in this game because even not on your turn, you are still trading information. So it's the whole game you're possibly gaining information. So there's no real downtime in this game. Like, unless I just don't have anything, then I might skip one player's turn. But so it's just the flows. It flows really, really good. And I think it's a really good design, and they did a really good job with the translation. I didn't have any issues with English translation, that they pulled everything across, and they did a really good job. Player sheets and all, I think it's just an upgraded version of everything, and it's really, really good. So, okay. Well, thanks for doing this with me.
You're welcome.
I love that you're able to be a part of this. So
yeah, I'm the ultimate awkward guest. So thank you for having me.
Yes. So this is the month of awkward guests. I guess we had Josh 2 weeks ago, and now you. So, and I'm always the awkward guest. So Jared's the only non-awkward guest.
Good for him.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you. Just thank you. So thank you, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you to whoever solved the murderer, or solved the murder and found the murderer. So thank you. If you had feedback or want to give us your thoughts on this game, we would love to hear from you. Links to our socials are in the description. If you don't like socials, I totally understand. Check out our website at thegametablepodcast.com or shoot us an email at thegametablepodcast@gmail.com. Or you can find us on Board Game Geek. All of these links that I have mentioned are in the description below. 5-star reviews, subscribing to your podcast player of choice, or following us on all these socials and joining the conversation on Discord. These are all heroic actions and are immensely helpful in growing our podcast. Thanks to, or a special thanks, of all special thanks to Angie Santiago for our cover art, and Anna Snyder, who made the intro and outro music, and Alexa Chislin for the How to Play background music. Join us next week as we will review another beautiful game. In the meantime, may your dice rolls and card draws be blessed, and your experiences at the table be ones to remember forever. Carry on.
Bye.
Bye.